Just imagine for a moment on your next launch or project or event, having all of your expenses taken care of before you even begin, such as your airfare, your rental car at no cost, your hotel paid for, your meals on the house, and oh my goodness, so much more. All of that is possible, and today's topic is so much fun because there is a huge untapped source of revenue available for entrepreneurs, and it's called corporate sponsorship. Hey there, I'm Nafissa Shireen, success coach and business strategist for entrepreneurs, and welcome to Living Forward TV, where we help you to create a thriving business you absolutely love all around your personal freedom. Today, we have a very special guest, Charmaine Hammond, and she's an expert in securing corporate sponsorships, and she travels the world teaching this stuff. And oh my goodness, I'm so excited that she's here on Living Forward TV for you. You're going to want to watch today's episode right till the end because she's going to be sharing with you all of the behind the scenes and insider secrets of getting corporate sponsorship dollars for your business, for your next project or book launch. It's going to be absolutely amazing. If getting free money is exciting to you, then give us a thumbs up and share this video with your community because other entrepreneurs really need to know about this. What she's going to share is going to have you looking at your business and the possibilities that are open to you in a whole new way. Charmaine has developed relationships with more than 40 sponsors and 60 business partners, and she helps her clients secure all kinds of cash and in-kind sponsorships for their business through the power of relationships and collaboration. Buckle up. Today's episode is going to be a game changer for you. Charmaine, welcome to Living Forward TV.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh, no, thank you. This is such a privilege to have you on our episode. I would love it if you would maybe, before we dive into the topic, because I know everybody wants to get there, but I'd like them to know a little bit more about you and how you came to be doing this.
Well, it's an interesting story. I started out in jail, and let me preface that.
Okay.
Don't worry, you don't have a criminal here today. I was a correctional officer, so had a government job, was loving the whole security of the government job. And when I moved to Alberta from Ontario, there was no jail where I moved to. So had to get another job. And I went back to school, got a master's degree in conflict analysis and management, and opened up my own dispute resolution company. That was 23 years ago. Okay. And obviously I've rebranded a little bit since then. But it was when I took another job as a executive director of a nonprofit organization that my job became finding money through grants, through donors, and sponsorship. And the sponsorship bug bit me then. And it was sort of my mission beyond then to figure out how to do this and how to incorporate this in my business.
Wow, that's just really incredible. And I can't wait to dive in because I know you have the behind the scenes from both perspectives, right? Mm-hmm. From being someone who was awarding sponsorship dollars and being someone who can secure sponsorship dollars. So, I mean, this is like the real whole picture here. You don't get this very often. But before we do that, I'm going to back up a little bit because this is Living Forward TV, and I love to ask all our guests, and I think your story does definitely fall in line with this, having made changes from your original career, and that is, what does living forward mean to you?
That is such a rich question. I think living forward to me is about looking forward to your goals and taking action every day, even if it's imperfect, even if it's not the right step. And I also think when I think of living forward, it's about standing tall, brushing off your knees, and moving forward when we have those hurdles to get through in business, when things fall off the tracks, we make a mistake. So it's about movement and momentum.
I love that. And that's what we're all about here, right? Is just, because we're entrepreneurs. Stuff happens. Right? And we just have to keep pushing through that. And if we keep doing that, we'll get to our goals, right? Yeah. And that's what we're all about here. And I know that one of the big obstacles for entrepreneurs and a lot of things that they do come up against is having the money to fund their projects. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was just really, really excited to have you here because I've heard you speak. I know how much you talk about sponsorship, and some of my colleagues have been through some of your training programs, and it sounds really interesting. I'm like, ooh, I missed out there. And I thought, well, if I can get you to come and talk to our viewers, then I think they're going to have so much value. So you say that sponsorship is an untapped revenue source for entrepreneurs. Can you tell me what that means?
A sponsorship really is a marketing relationship. So if you think about a company like big brands, it's actually a great exercise for everyone to do is to walk around their home and their office and look at What are the products and services that they use? Who is their cell phone provider, their bank, their insurance provider? All of those brands, those companies have people inside them that make decisions on how sponsorship dollars or marketing dollars are going to be used. So when we think about sponsorship, it's really about a marketing relationship, and it's a way of infusing cash and in-kind products and services into your business.
And so what exactly is sponsorship? Now, you talked about the in-kind and you talked about the cash, so I kind of get, a rough idea. But for somebody who's just sitting there in their, trying to get that next step in their business, and they're struggling and they've got a great idea, could you tell them, what a sponsorship is and how it would work for them, or how it could work for them?
Great. So sponsorship with these companies that have marketing dollars to give, really, a company could give their marketing dollars to, say, Facebook ads or solo mail outs. They could do, in the old days, yellow page advertising. I'm dating myself here.
I think we still get a yellow
Do we
page.
still get that?
Yeah, I didn't know.
I just
still
use them to sit on in the car.
Yeah.
To give me height. So when we think about marketing, how sponsorship works is a company provides an entrepreneur, a nonprofit group with a product, service, or cash to be able to integrate into a project. So what I mean by that is that when sponsors give in-kind products or services or cash to your dream, to your project, they're also expecting some kind of ROI, a return on investment. So it's not sort of like, I'm just going to give you money and go at it, have fun. And this is why I love sponsorship, because it is a relationship. So when you're building that powerful relationship with a business, with a brand, and they're invested in your dream, in your project, in your launch, they're going to commit to helping you make sure it's successful.
Okay.
It's not just about writing a check and letting you go off on your way. It's really about them investing in many ways. And that's why in Raise a Dream, we really teach people how to build great relationships first.
So it's so that it's win-win, so that everybody's business benefits.
Yeah.
So what kind of things can you get sponsored? I mean, when I read your bio and I looked at all the things that you had sponsored, I was like, okay, this is like from soup to nuts. Yeah. I wouldn't even have thought some of these things. And again, I go back to the dog food and dog poop bags. I have a lot of animals. I'm like, okay, well that's really cool and interesting. And so, I mean, how would you even know what to ask for or what kind of projects or events to sponsor?
That's a great question. And one of the ways we can figure out what we could first get sponsored, let me answer that one first, is to actually walk around your office, sit in your car, think about the events that you go to or that you host yourself, and look at every item that you spend money on. So, for example, with your show, what are the things that you spend money on? What are the things that you need to have? You've got equipment here, you've got cameras, you've got lights, you've got great furniture, beautiful backdrop. All of those are things that could actually be sponsored.
Oh, that's really fascinating.
So you could have multiple backdrops that are all sponsored where you didn't have to pay for the backdrop items. For people who host events, I know you've got listeners on your show, viewers on your show that hold events, hold retreats, everything from the venue to the marketing to the social media to the swag to the decor to the handouts, the banners.
I mean, events are expensive to put on. I've hosted live events, and they're not cheap.
The list of things
just even the coffee service is
$4 a cup. Yeah.
Like that's more than Starbucks, right?
Right.
And so, wow, I mean, you can have all that sponsored.
Right. And here's what I love about sponsorship. For me, it's a chance for my creativity to come out. So we have a tendency as entrepreneurs, if we need, say, printing, let's say an entrepreneur wants to have all their handouts and their flyers sponsored by somebody else. Our tendency is that our brain would go to, oh, I should go to a print shop. Okay. Well, so is everybody else who wants printing. My very first printing sponsor was a safety company.
Oh, so they supplied them.
So what they did is my friend Al Head, who has a company called Safety Ahead, he said, Shar, we've got a great photocopier here. We've got a great printer. Let me be your printing sponsor. I would have never have thought to ask Al in a million years.
Really creative.
Right,
yeah.
Really creative. And here's the thing. Every one of your viewing audience has relationships with people, just like I did with Al, that want to help. They just don't simply see where they could fit in.
Okay. And that kind of brings me to my next question then. So, you talked about it being a marketing relationship, but I'm still would love for our viewers to understand, the why behind it. Like, why would a big business or even a small business want to partner and sponsor an entrepreneur? Like, what are they actually getting out of it?
Yeah, that is such an important question. And this is why we have to really, as entrepreneurs, look at our mindset. Sometimes we actually don't think we have a lot of value to offer a sponsor. And the number one reason sponsors have said yes to me is that they're interested in my audience. Now, I have several audiences. I speak corporately, so I'm in front of business and corporate people, and then entrepreneurs. So number one reason is that sponsors will often get behind your project or invest in your project because they want to be able to interact, know, or meet the people that you have. So for example, if you had a sponsor who wants to sponsor your technology for your show, they may be doing that not so much to promote the services and just have their name out there, but they really want to connect somehow with the people who watch your show because perhaps that's their audience.
Got it.
That's the number one thing they want. But the other key is to find out from them what they need and want. We often make assumptions. I have done this so many times. I won't even tell you the number of times I've done this. We assume that we know what a sponsor needs from us. We assume maybe they want sales or they want to get their product into a new audience. Sometimes sponsors want what's called sampling. So I'm going to go to the poop bags.
Okay, let's go to the poop bags.
Let's go to the poop bags. We started there. So with the poop bags, for example, the original poop bags came on board to my Million Acts of Kindness tour, sponsored a number of things.
And can I ask you to maybe tell us a bit about that tour? Because so we could get the whole context in it too.
You bet. So Million Acts of Kindness tour was a 14,000 kilometer, that's 10,000 miles for those of you who are in the miles, across North America. And we had a motorhome sponsored from Fraser Way RV, 32 foot. Never driven a motorhome, by the way, until that day. And it was a tour that I created around my speaking and my books. And we wrapped it around a mission to change the world through kindness. So it was over a 6-week period. And we had sponsors from the motorhome sponsor, Fraser Way RV, to TELUS, a telecom communications company, to Petline Canada, and then everything in between. Wow. And the poop bag sponsors, the original poop bags, who, by the way, I met at a trade show.
Okay.
So there's a little tip. Don't ever go to an event and bypass the trade show area because I've met so many speakers, or so many sponsors there. But Paul, when I met him, he said the way that he gets his poop bags in front of the world and the way that would be most valuable for him would be for people to try them. Now, how do I do that at a speaking event? Short of having things to pick up with a poop bag.
Might kill the mood, right?
Might kill the mood. So it was important for him that people could put their hands in the poop bag, could see that they don't smell weird. They had to sample the bags. Just like food products will often want you to sample. So we actually use the poop bags as bookmarks. We wrapped our books in poop bags.
That is cool.
And we gave them to people to take home and try.
And pet lovers would love it, right?
Pet lovers would
you're always looking in a pocket for one. So that's got us a bookmark. That's a great idea.
So sometimes they want sampling. They want the opportunity for a new audience to try their product.
And I wanted to back up to something you said that I think is really important, and I hope you're paying attention to this, where you said not to bypass the trade show area. Because these are people that are paying to be there. Yeah. They're already sponsoring. So you know that this is part of their business model, right? And that's a very good mind shift to make, to go, it's not just about looking at what I can buy, although you kind of want to see what they have to offer, obviously, because they're there to show their products and services. And they're also companies that are interested in getting to other markets.
Absolutely. And for anyone who's listening that's a speaker, I see this all the time where speakers will go to an event, they show up a couple of hours, they come down just before they speak. So they don't meet the audience, they don't meet the exhibitors and the sponsors, and then they speak and they leave. And I have made it a mission to get there early, meet the audience, spend time with the sponsors. It's amazing.
Well, I know. I mean, and that's a big pet peeve of mine, because I'm not a professional speaker, but I do a lot of speaking in my business. And it's amazing to me when speakers don't take advantage of that opportunity because it's speaking is all about connecting. And and it starts before you get on the stage. And taking that one step further to meet the sponsors is just brilliant.
Absolutely, because you can meet them face to face. You see that you can build a relationship with them. You learn about their business. And the other thing is sometimes at a trade show, it's not the sponsorship decision maker that's there. Often it's someone from their marketing team or from their communications team, their events team. But when you meet them and spend time with them and show interest in their product, in their exhibit, they're very, very happy to connect you personally to the person you need to know.
Yes.
So they shortcut months off this whole process of finding the right person.
Because you're getting in through the back door a little bit, right? Yeah. Now, you said that they'd be really interested in, our audiences and getting to know our audiences. And I remember when I heard you speak the first time, you gave a tip sheet and a suggestion that really changed how I looked at my business too. And that's about our social collateral. Mm-hmm. So can you talk a little bit about how important it is to track those numbers and metrics?
It's so critical to track your metrics. In fact, it's one of the reasons why sponsors may say yes to you, because influence and relationship capital is critical for companies. It's one thing for a company to go on the stage or on TV or on a radio show and say, we are the best company in the world and you should buy our product because we rock. Nobody would buy the product. But it's another thing if you went on TV and said, I love this product, and let me tell you why. So one of the reasons that sponsors are interested in your social capital, in your metrics around your social media reach, is that they see that you have a following. Now, I do want to preface, number and size is not everything in this case.
Okay.
So a lot of people say, well, I only have a Facebook following of 1,500 people, and I just started on Twitter, and I don't even have a big database. I've had sponsors tell me over and over again that for them, it's not the number that matters as much as how you're engaging with them. So we have a metric sheet, and I think you did that exercise at one of my workshops where we actually, it's about a 4-page document that Raise a Dream has, and you track all of your numbers around Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest. And you do not need to be on them all. I want to say, if your audience is not on Snapchat, I mean, I don't even know how to use Snapchat.
Me neither. I
don't get Snapchat, to tell you the truth.
No offense if that's your thing.
No. But for some people, it is their thing, right? And I don't do Pinterest. But however, I had a sponsor who Pinterest was one of their primary places that they connect with people. And so we said, would it be of value for us to get a Pinterest account and start building it so that we can help support you there? And they said, no, we've got Pinterest covered. We really need help with Twitter and Instagram because we're new at that. So when you know all your following and how engaged you are with people, you track it every month or even every 2 weeks. If a sponsor were to say to you, how many people are following you? You would have that. You wouldn't have to say, well, I got 5,000 in this account and 1,000 here. You would say, my collective reach is, and you give them a number. But here's the juice. Many of your viewing audience belong to things like chambers of commerce or women's groups or networking groups or clubs. The membership and their collective audience can also count in that. Okay. So imagine you being the sponsor for a minute. And you said, Charmaine, what is the reach of Raise a Dream and Charmaine Hammond's company? And I was to say, our social media reach is this. And I belong to several organizations who collectively, their reach is 147 million.
That's pretty huge, right?
Right. And they'd say, wow, and who are these people? And they would start to be very interested because they understand the fact that if I was to promote them in social media some way, do a video, do a meme about them, it has massive exposure for them to new audiences.
And I love that because I think it's really easy to forget the assets we do have and we just discount it to, well, I'm just a member of this organization or whatever, and not realizing that, we have reach in it. And especially if you're a speaker at some of those organizations, your reach is actually really big because if you're in their speaker profile and you've spoken there, in addition to being a member, we all have so many touch points. And I know when I did that exercise that you gave us, because I thought, oh, well, what's my reach? It's a reasonable size. However, when I did the exercise and listed it all, it was like, there's a lot of reach there. Even surprised myself. So taking the moment to do that, I think is really, really important.
It is. It really shows you how much value you have. And I think that's one of the mindsets, especially for women. A lot of women in business struggle with the value that they bring to the world. And then once they get their value, then they struggle to articulate it and tell people about it. So if you do these metric exercises, it kind of makes it really nuts and bolts for you.
And you can't argue with that you have this reach, and it's not just the reach, it's the impact, right? You have impact, especially when you've got the engagement and you're connecting with people. Now, are there mistakes though that people make when they go after sponsorship dollars?
How much time do you have?
I've made every one of them at least 3 times because I'm a slow learner. Here's number one mistake, and these are coming right from the sponsors. Rebecca and I at Raise a Dream, we've actually interviewed sponsors and we've asked them, what drives you crazy? And number one was people using what they call old school sponsorship methodology, which is things like creating tiers, like boxes or levels, gold, silver, bronze. We see that a lot because it's a way of differentiating the value that one sponsor is bringing to an event versus other sponsors, but they really like customized conversations and customized proposals. So customizing is really important. Another mistake is that people leave it to the very last minute. So I've got a retreat in 6 weeks and we need sponsors. And some of these bigger brands, they are budgeting a year out in advance. So it's about a 6 to a 9 month process for them to say yes. So that's mistake number 2. Mistake number 3 is asking for money before you have a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So it just doesn't fly with them. And here's the thing. Many sponsors are getting hundreds, if not thousands of proposals a year for their marketing dollars, for their sponsorship dollars. And if we don't make the mistakes that lots of other people are making, we will stand out. And if we take time to build a relationship and really get to know their company, research them, check them out, follow them online, we will again stand out. And when it does come time to picking up the phone and having that conversation or meeting them at a trade show booth, taking the time to really understand their brand and asking them questions will help you stand out. And that's the one sponsor that I interviewed, her comment has just resonated so much. She said, Charmaine, I want people to know that at the end of the day, even though we wear the title or the hat of sponsorship decision maker in our company, we have children, we have pets, we have hobbies. At the end of the day, we're people. This is a job for us. And so when you can show up and treat us like a human and take time to know things about us, we are much more likely to be interested in your project and figure out a way to fit into it. And that's what's really, really cool.
And I know you've also said too that there's, even though they have some of these applications and you want to stand out, they also have the other problem where they actually have to spend those dollars, right? They're under pressure for that.
Huge pressure. I did that job. I can't tell you how much pressure it is. Who would think giving away millions of dollars can be stressful? But there's billions and billions of dollars available right now in corporate sponsorship dollars. And
did you hear that?
Yeah, billions in North America. And that's just from the big companies. That's not our local coffee shops and our, the boutique hotels and the grocery stores we go to. Those are the bigger companies. And so when you factor in all these small to medium-sized enterprises, it's a lot of money that's out there.
That's amazing.
And it's a stressful job for them to give it away because when they say, let's say they say yes to your project and they say, we're going to give you $15,000 for this project and here's the return on investment we want to see. They want to make sure at the end of the day that when your project's done, that was actually fulfilled. So whatever those goals were that you agreed to with them, it happened. And of course, you're going to knock their socks off. You were going to go above and beyond so that they are left saying anything she says about an invitation to participate with Living Forward, we are a heck yes.
Got it. So what I'm hearing so far then is, we want to make sure that we're tracking our metrics and our numbers, that we take advantage of meeting people at trade shows, cultivating relationships, and really focusing on that relationship and getting creative, not just thinking about money, but thinking about all the things that we use in our business that could have an impact on our audience to approach those sponsors. And I know this is what you do for your clients, and I am so curious as to how you've helped them. And would you be willing to share some examples of some of the things you've gotten sponsored for your clients?
Sure. Well, I love, we're going to talk about a mutual friend of ours, Joe Dibley, who has the best kept secret to success. So Joe does a lot of events for women. And one of the things right out of the gate she was able to achieve was NYGARD actually becoming her clothing sponsor. So all of Joe's clothing is provided to her by Nygaard. One of our other clients, she attended I love this story because she attended a 1-hour workshop. And at the end of the workshop, I gave them homework. And the homework was to go make one call. And that could be to your hairstylist, to the place you go for coffee, to your bank. And so she happened to be walking past her hairstylist and stopped in and told them about a retreat she was doing for women. And the hairstylist actually came on as a cash sponsor and sponsored a couple of people to go to this retreat. But then she also got the product suppliers. I think it was Redken. I could be wrong. So the product that she sells, they came on board as a sponsor. Then she went to the Home Hardware or Home Depot, whichever it was. They sponsored some of this. Right. So all of a sudden, in a very short period of time, she had many of the things that she needed for her event sponsored. But what was, I think, most important to her was people who couldn't afford to come were able to come because of the kindness and generosity of these businesses who saw that link, who saw that.
So there's a real good balance in that one between in-kind and cash.
Yes.
And I think, you can't overlook the value of in-kind.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not just what you get. I mean, when someone's giving you a service like that or taking care of it, there's some logistics they're taking care of for you too. And I mean, the value of that is priceless when they show up and do that. And, when you talk about airfare and meals and all of that comped, it adds up when you're on a speaking tour, right?
Yeah,
I know
totally
you once spoke about a book launch that you did, right? Where you had everything comped.
Everything covered. Absolutely. And you know what it's like. You start an event and you got these great ideas and all of a sudden
you start pricing them.
You start pricing it and wondering who's going to pay for this. Yeah. And that was my first real test was in 2010 when my first book On Toby's Terms came out. And the cool thing about that example is all 40 sponsors were all in kind. There was no money exchanged. But their sponsorship in that year saved me $39,000 that didn't have to come out of my personal bank account or my business. So everything like my hair to my clothing to my jewelry, my printing, the venue for the launch. I even had companies, my hairstylist and my financial advisor, who bought boxes and boxes of my books to give out to their clients, to give out to schools. So all of that was in-kind sponsorship. But I think the best outcome for me, in all honesty, was the fact that I now had 40 businesses who were so invested in what we were doing that they were out there telling their clients and their partners.
Wow.
And that was huge.
So, I mean, it's really reciprocal. I mean, you think about the sponsors are wanting to get the publicity for themselves. However, if they're going to publicize you, and sometimes they have bigger dollars to do that, that's even better than the sponsorship sometimes, I would think, for your business. That is so amazing.
And their connections. I mean, think about how connected they are. The people that you do business with, they all have people that they do business with. So it's all about relationship.
So I hope you're hearing this because when we talk about untapped revenue, this really is a potential income source. I mean, $39,000 is big. What could you do if you could save $39,000 in your business when you're trying to promote it? It's just phenomenal, right? What could happen? So, Charmaine, what I'm curious, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers would love to know, because I'm sure at this point they're just like salivating, or I like to say chomping at the bit, I'm a horse person, to find out how they can get sponsorship money in their business. How do you work with people if they wanted to know?
Great question. So we have an online program that's called the Big Dream Primer Program that's 7 weeks, and it's awesome because it takes you through our whole 7-step model. And I think one of the best outcomes that people get from that is they understand how sponsorship works, where it fits in for them, but ultimately they see their value and they see what they could bring to sponsors and know how to build that confidence to be able to pick up the phone and talk to a stranger. We actually have talking to stranger homework in the program. Because you have to talk to strangers about how amazing your project is and not feel salesy and build a relationship.
And we'll put a link to that below because you'll definitely want to check that out.
Awesome. Absolutely. And then we do live workshops, so much like the one you were at. So live workshops, and then we have several retreats through the year. And then we do some one-to-one mentoring for people who really need that hands-on with them and their team, for us to train their team and take their whole organization.
Yeah, if they're looking for some really big dollars. So
Yes.
if sponsorship sounds like something that would really help you in your business, I really encourage you to get in touch with Charmaine and hear what she has to say and watch this episode again, because there is so much that is available to you that can really make the difference and give you just that edge that can take your business to the next level. I just think it's such a cool thing, and I'm so glad that you were able to be here with us today, Charmaine. Now, before we conclude, I'm just wondering if you could give our viewers just like one tip, like what's the first thing they can do today to help them get on the road to tapping into this source of revenue?
Okay, here it is. I'm going to get everybody out there.
You can look at the camera.
Going to get everybody out there. And here is the tip. I want you all to grab a notepad or a clipboard, piece of paper, and you're going to divide it into half down the line. And on the left-hand side, you're going to write all the things that would be super cool to have sponsored. So walking around your house and figuring out all the products and services that you need personally and in your business. What would be cool to have sponsored? Meaning what would be cool if that you didn't have to pay for it. And then the second side of the page, you're then going to write down all of the things, all of the people that you know and do business with, right from your hairstylist to who pumps gas into your car. I guess we probably do that now because there's no fill-up stations. But where do you get your gas? Where do you buy your groceries? Who's your insurance company? So you've got both of those lists, because what you're going to start to see is where some of these needs could be met through powerful relationships. That's, I think, the starting point. And I really believe that if you take action today and just start with homework, you are so much closer than other entrepreneurs out there that have not even thought of this.
Yeah, because now you've got it in your awareness.
Yeah.
And then click the link below to check out this online course, because it'll help you take it to the next level for sure. So I'm really hoping we brought you some great ideas today. Well, I'm not hoping. I know we did. This was just such a fun episode, and I really appreciate it. If this helped you, please give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment below and tell us what you found most helpful, where you're going to plan to use sponsorships in your business. And what I would love is if you have done that list, like Charmaine has suggested, that you leave it in the comments below what came up for you when you were doing that list. And make sure to share this video with your friends and someone who needs it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Would love to have you here. And if you have more questions or you need more help, then I'd love to invite you to join the Living Forward free Facebook community. That's where I come to you live each and every week on After the Episode, and I answer your questions. It's also a great place for you to network, build your business, get daily inspiration and motivation. To join, all you have to do is go to livingforwardcommunity.com, click the Join Now button, and I'll see you on the inside.